Okay, let's dive into this because, wow, if you want a story that just screams internet age chaos, like the blinding rise and the absolutely spectacular crash, you really have to talk about Daniel Hernandez. You know him as 6ix9ine.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a unique, almost scary example. We're looking deep at how this kid from Bushwick basically built himself into this hip-hop supervillain. And it seems like it was all driven by this intense need for attention, for clout.
Yeah, it's like watching someone play chicken with reality, but for real.
Totally. The whole thing is like a live demo of what happens when chasing internet fame gets physical, gets dangerous.
So what we're going to do today is unpack how deliberate this 6ix9ine persona really was. His backstory is actually pretty surprising, quite tragic, really. And then how that line he blurred between, like, aggressive marketing and actual crime just led straight to this massive legal implosion.
Right. And for you listening, this really shows what can happen when being famous online slams headfirst into real-world consequences. You're not going to want to miss this deep dive celeb look into it.
Okay, so where does the villain really come from? Not the rainbow hair version, but the kid.
Let's start there. Daniel Hernandez, growing up in Bushwick, Brooklyn. It wasn't easy. Poverty, some instability. His biological dad wasn't really around, dealing with addiction issues.
Right, but wasn't there like a specific moment, something that really changed things for him?
There was. A huge one. Back in 2010, Daniel was only 13. His stepdad, Luis Nazario, who Daniel apparently saw as like the stable figure, the hero in his life.
Yeah.
He was killed, shot in broad daylight right near their home.
Oh, wow. At 13, that's devastating.
Completely. And reports say it just broke him. He stopped showering, lost a lot of weight, got expelled from school in 8th grade, started dealing drugs, weed, even heroin apparently to help his mom make ends meet.
That's a lot for a kid to handle. It really puts a dark spin on everything that came later, doesn't it? That kind of trauma must have shaped him.
Absolutely. It seems to directly feed into this whole villain idea he embraced later.
He actually said something about that, didn't he?
He did. There's this quote that's pretty chilling, really sums up his mindset. Superheroes always die. FK being a superhero, I want to be a villain because villains never die.
Whoa. So if being good gets you killed, maybe being bad is how you survive.
That seems to be the twisted logic, yeah. And he didn't just feel like a villain, he built the whole look, that shock value. He apparently said he felt invisible, so he just decided to be loud, impossible to ignore.
And we all know the look, the rainbow hair, that bright grill, those homemade shirts with words designed purely to provoke.
Calculated chaos, totally.
Okay.
Printing stuff like sex scum, which he actually defined as society can't understand me, and, well, other much more offensive things. It wasn't random, it was pure shock marketing. Make people look, make them react.
Even the name Tekashi, and obviously the 6ix9ine tattoos everywhere. That was all part of the brand building.
For sure. Tekashi apparently came from a local tattoo artist. And the 6ix9ine symbol, while everyone assumes the obvious, he actually gave it this surprisingly thoughtful explanation.
Really? What was it?
He claimed it was about perspective. You know, depending on where you stand, you see a 6 or a 9. He asked something like, if I'm poor and you're rich, does that make you right? There's this idea about duality, about viewpoint.
Huh. That's deeper than you'd expect for face tattoos. Was that genuine, you think, or just more performance?
And that's the question at the heart of this whole story, isn't it? Where does the performance end and reality begin? What's also fascinating is he didn't even really like rap at first.
Get out with that image.
Seriously. He was apparently into rock, emo, stuff like Parkway Drive, Breaking Benjamin. He even admitted he didn't want to rap.
So he was basically a punk kid who saw rap as the fast track, the quickest way to get the fame and money he needed, which exploded with Gummo in 2017.
Exactly. But that's when things shifted. The online trolling wasn't enough. To be this rap supervillain, he figured he needed real backup, real muscle.
Okay, so this is where the gang stuff comes in.
This is the pivot. Experts who work in gang prevention said he seemed glamorized by the gang culture and was looking for that street cred, that cosign. And that led him straight to the Nine Trey Gangsta Bloods.
So wait, this wasn't just like hanging around them, it was a formal thing.
It seems like it was a deal, yeah. Mutual benefit, you could say.
Yeah.
He gets their reputation, their power, their muscle to back him up against rivals and sell his image.
And what did they get?
They got access to his massive online platform, worldwide reach, and critically, a piece of the huge amounts of money he started making.
Wow. And how did he signal that connection?
It started publicly with the Gummo video shoot.
Yeah.
He started wearing their signature red bandana. An aesthetic choice, sure, but one that instantly screamed affiliation. street credibility locked in, visually at least.
But wasn't there already some legal trouble hanging over him before all this fame?
Yes, and this is crucial. Back in 2015, before Gummo, he pleaded guilty to a felony, use of a child in a sexual performance. He was 18, the victim was 13.
That's incredibly serious. That came with probation, right?
It did. 4 years probation, community service. He was supposed to keep clean for 2 years before his career took off.
So instead of lying low during probation, he joins a notorious street gang and plasters it everywhere.
Exactly. The timing is wild. The gang connection just fueled his whole social media strategy. This is when the constant online beefs really kicked off.
Right, taunting everyone. Chief Keef, Trippie Redd, even guys like 50 Cent. It was pure attention-seeking, turned up to 11.
His own record label CEO compared him to Donald Trump, basically. Said like 80% of the comments were pure hate.
But the hate didn't matter.
Didn't matter at all, because the haters still watched, still clicked, still commented, still bought the t-shirts. The outrage was the engine, and it was making a fortune.
But that line between online talk and real life, it just vanished, didn't it? He was making real enemies, and his security was now actual gang members.
And that led to real violence. There was that kidnapping and robbery in 2018, which, bizarrely, he later hinted might have been an inside job by his own crew. Yeah. And multiple public shootings connected to his crew, like one outside the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The act had become way too real.
So when did it all fall apart?
The beginning of the end was late 2018. He fired his management, including a key Nine Trey guy called Shoddy, tried to cut ties with the gang, but he has no idea the feds were already deep into a huge RIGO case against Nine Trey.
RIGO, that's the big one, right? Like for organized crime.
Exactly. It targets the whole enterprise, not just single crimes. And once he cut ties, things got really dangerous for him personally.
How so?
The FBI had wiretaps. They heard chatter that Shoddy's guys were planning to superviolate him, basically kill him. They saw him as a problem, maybe someone who talked.
So the FBI warned him.
They gave him protection, and then they arrested him.
Yeah.
On racketeering, firearms charges, looking at decades in prison, like 32 years to life, minimum.
Facing that kind of time, that's when he flipped.
That was the choice he made. He cooperated, testified for 3 straight days against Shoddy and the others, spilled everything, turned that whole gangster performance into court evidence.
And that cooperation got him a much later sentence.
Huge leniency. He ended up serving only about 8 months of a 2-year sentence. But the fallout in the streets, in the music world, total. He became radioactive, blacklisted everywhere, put on the worldwide menu.
The worldwide menu, what's that?
It's street slang. Means you've broken the code, you're an informant, a snitch, and now basically anyone, anywhere might feel justified in getting revenge. It's not just your old crew anymore.
Jeez. And despite that danger, he still seems to be courting chaos.
Right.
More legal problems.
Constantly. Probation violations, losing a massive $10 million lawsuit in Miami for hitting a dancer with a bottle, getting arrested multiple times for assault recently down in the Dominican Republic. It's like he can't switch the villain character off.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway here?
I think the main thing is that 6ix9ine was a master of kamikaze marketing. His fame was totally tied to this path of self-distribution he seemed to be on.
Yeah, he thought he could play this dangerous game, use the gang image, but stay untouchable like a celebrity. His biggest mistake.
Exactly. The legal system just wasn't buying the "it's just an act" defense when real crimes were happening. He merged the performance with felonies, and that had real consequences.
And the speed of it all. From working in a deli to global stardom to federal witness facing constant threats, all in barely more than a year. It's just incredible. Shows the scary power of the attention economy when things spill out of the phone screen.
It really does. Once you invite that kind of real-world danger into your online act, you can't just log off.
So here's something to think about. Now that the gang protection is gone, the money seems shaky, and the industry has turned its back. Can a personality built only on trolling and negativity actually last? Or was 6ix9ine just a one-off crazy firework?
We really enjoy digging into these wild stories from the edges of celebrity culture.
Yeah, we love bringing them to you. But hey, we need your help to keep it going. Make sure you hit subscribe on our DeepDive Celeb channel. That way you won't miss the next time we break down another one of these crazy stories.